Coming up on FRC Recap, week 3 of the charged up season is complete with 33 events that our correspondents from all around the world will join us to cover and break down. If you're watching live, strap in, get ready for FRC Recap.
This video on First Updates Now is made possible by viewers like you and also the following sponsors. Kettering University is looking for talented robotics students who want to continue learning and innovating in a hands-on, real-world experience format. Kettering University representatives will be at dozens of FIRST events this season, including the championship. Go to kettering.edu/first to see which events you can meet a Kettering University representative. FRC competition season is here. Submit your favorite moments to FRC Clips of the Week by each Sunday at discord.gg/firstupdatesnow. Also, the FRC Top 25 poll is open Sunday 5 p.m. Eastern to Monday 5 p.m. Eastern, where you can vote for your top 25 teams of the week at firstupdatesnow.com/FRC Top 25.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to FRC Recap for week 3. I'm your host, Steve Londo. And if you're watching live, we do have a giveaway this week from our friends at ThriftyBot. So you want to stay tuned for that coming up later on in the show. This week, we have 33 events covered by our correspondents located all across the world. If you're watching live or on YouTube, put in the comments which events have your attention or anything extra that went down at the events that you were at this week. Kicking off the show, per usual, is our first region of tonight, the Northeastern region, covering the U.S. Northeast. With 5 events to cover, let's bring on senior correspondent Connor to talk about the first 3 events, both of the New England District events, which were the North Shore event and the New England District Western New England event. And he's also going to tell us what happened at the FMA District at the Springside Chestnut Hill Academy event. Can we think of a longer event name? Good to see you, Connor. How things shake out for you out in New England this weekend?
Things went well, my friend. We begin week 3 of FRC Recap with the North Shore District event in Reading, Massachusetts. This event featured 40 teams from 3 states. What an event that was. I thought Rhode Island was stacked, but oh boy, this event brought the heat. 80 qualification matches were played at this event, and the top rankings weren't even solidified until the very end of quals. The number 1 seeded team was none other than 133 Burt with a record of 9-2-1. They would select number 2 seeded team 3467 Wyndham Windup and would round off the alliance with number 40 seeded team 1721 Tidal Force. They would tackle the playoffs and coast through the upper bracket despite nearly losing their upper bracket semis match by 3 points. They would face against a juggernaut of the number 2 seeded alliance of 88 TJ Squared, 1768 Neshoba Robotics, 6201 the Highlanders, and backup robot 4311 the Swampscott Currents. Something to note, 6201 died in round 3 match 10 and never came back. After the match, it was determined that 88 and 1768 that 6201 had too many electrical issues to fix, so they called in 4311 and played them for the rest of the event, despite still being able to have the ability to go back to 6201 with the new backup robot rules. Oh my God, the finals. Holy crap, were they exciting. Match 1 went back and forth, jab for jab, cube for cube, cone for cone. The matches finished in a double, triple, and tie. 134 all. Match 2 and 3 were just as exciting, but ultimately the number 2 seed would take those 2 matches 145-139 and 155-151 to secure the event win. That's insane that the losing alliance had a score of 151 and still lost the event. That's an insane score, guys. It's one of if you are in New England and you have not seen 88's arm in person, you have to see it for yourself. It is one of the coolest mechanisms out there, not only just the 2023 season, but all seasons of FRC. 1768 is also a work of art, heavily inspired by Clayton's world-famous pink arm, to the 2019 pink arm robot he designed. This machine just flew all around the field, picking up cones in a very unique way. Congrats to 5422 Storm Gears for winning Engineering Inspiration, and to 4905 Andromeda 1 for winning Impact. We drive 95 miles southwest to the birthplace of basketball, the Western New England District event in Springfield, Massachusetts. This event featured 36 teams from 5 states. After 72 qualification matches, it was no surprise that 176 Aces High would seed first with a record of 11-1. They would select the number 2 seed team 195, the Cyber Knights, and round off their alliance with number 30 seed team 8604, Alpha Centauri. Once alliance selection concluded, it was clear that the number 1 seed would collide with the number 2 seed of 177 Bobcat Robotics, 1740 Cyber Kernels, and 571 Team Paragon. The finals were played to near perfection. Each robot contributed points in almost every single phase of the game. Each team was operating at peak performance through the finals, which everyone loves to see. Despite that, the number 1 seed Red Alliance would secure the event win in 2 matches, 168-119 and 156-108. Let's talk about some of these teams real quick. This is hands down 176's best robot they've ever fielded, despite having a perfect record going into district champs last year. They really are the 971 of the East with that sick double jointed arm. Their partners 195 put on a wonderful 2023 debut. Typically, 195, they don't start out as strong as the record shows on Blue Alliance. However, this robot cooks. This very well could be their best season since their 2018 dominant tear. 177 came out of the gate swinging this year and picked up right where they left off last year, scooping up game pieces from the ground and being an all-around New England juggernaut. And 1740, a team that holds a very special place in my heart, is taking New England by storm, finishing up their 2023 qualifying campaign with 91 district points in what is easily their most successful season yet. Congrats to 2370 iBots for winning Engineering Inspiration, and to 5112 the Gondoliers for winning their first ever Impact Award. Lastly, special shout out to 3654 Tech Tigers for lending their backup driver to 1735 Green Reapers after an on-field emergency. An incredible act of gracious professionalism for sure. We shift gears out of New England and we head to the first Mid-Atlantic District, where we find ourselves at Springside Chestnut Hill Academy District event in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. This event featured 31 teams from Pennsylvania and New Jersey. After 62 qualification matches, it was none other than 2539, the Krypton Cougars, who would seed first with a record of 11-1. They would select number 2 seed 341 Miss Daisy and 28 seed rookie team 9027 Path to Dominion. It appeared that our heroes would breeze through the upper bracket. However, the number 2 seed of 1218 SCH Robotics, 103 Cybersonics, and rookie team 9094, the Earthquakers, had other plans in mind and bounced them to the lower bracket during the upper bracket championship. The number 1 seed fought their way back through the rest of the lower bracket, sending them to the finals against their nemesis, the number 2 seed. This is the first finals match was intense as both alliances fought hard. It was very tight, 3 points to be exact. The number 1 seed would take match 1. Match 2, unfortunately, took a turn for the worse. The number 2 seed faced heavy defense with a minute left to go. And unfortunately, 9094 tipped themselves over, allowing the number 1 seed to win the match and secure the event win. Congratulations to 203 Superbots for winning Engineering Inspiration and to 321 Robolancers for winning the Impact Award. Steve, back to you.
Thanks, Connor. Rounding out the Northeastern region is Nick, who's covering the FMA District Robbinsville event, as well as the Finger Lakes Regional. Hey, Nick, happy Recap Monday. How'd everything go at your events this weekend?
Thanks, Steve. Moving to the FMA District Robbinsville event in New Jersey, we've got a few notable teams. Team 2590 Nemesis and Team 316 Lunatex. In Quals 42, we see 316 Kickoff Auto with a well-placed game piece and then a charge station engage. I absolutely love their fast deploying intake as well as their angled elevator and arm combo. They also zip smoothly across the field and make cycles look easy. I've seen a few teams take this approach already, and this was a very smooth design implementation of it. Team 1089 Mercury on the Blue Alliance was doing their best to play defense on red. The match ends with all 3 robots on the Blue Alliance engaged on the charge station, and only 2 red robots engaged on the charge station as well. The final score is 112 to 87, with red taking the victory. Heading into Finals 2, we have Team 3314, 2495, and 9015 on the Blue Alliance, and 316, 1807, and 5666 on the Red Alliance. 3314 starts things off well for Blue with an auto-engage as the other Alliance partners prepare for teleop. As the match continues on, the score is close for a while, but are at around the 70-second mark, the point gap widens. Both alliances continued their scoring frenzy as the match draws to a close. They both finished the match with a triple charge station engagement for both alliances. The final score of that match was 134 to 143, with Blue taking the victory. Moving into awards, we have Team 1403, Cougar Robotics winning the District Impact Award, and Team 3314 Mechanical Mustangs winning the District Engineering Inspiration Award. Watching the 3314's robot perform in Finals 2 was quite the spectacle. While simple, their machine was fast and effective. It was also cool to see a newer team like 9015 work with a more established team like 3314. At this particular event, we saw 6 unicorn matches during quals, and the average match score for quals was 71 compared to 102 in finals, and the overall high score was 143 for the event. Let's get into the recap of the Finger Lakes Regional event held in Rochester, New York. With 55 teams at the event, there are bound to be some event favorites. Some notable teams include 3015 Ranger Robotics, 1507 Warlocks, 340 Greater Rochester Robotics, and Team 1511 Rolling Thunder. In Quals 49, we see 3015 and 1507 on opposing alliances, with 1507 taking more of a defensive approach, guarding 3015 the best they can, with 3015 trying to slip by with their swerve drive and complete cycles. Unfortunately, part of the way through the match, 1507 has some connection issues, but is able to get back into play pretty quickly. We see 3015 make clean pickups from the double substation and put to work with their automated tablet-based grid scoring. All the driver has to do is select a location on the grid where they'd like to score, and the machine drives up to it and scores. What a unique way to do it. Moving on to Finals 1, we see 3015, 1591, and 3003 on red, with 340, 1507, and 250 on blue. Both teams start with strong autos, and there's a crazy rush for game pieces at the beginning of teleop. Red Alliance was making fast links, and Blue was trying their best to keep up. Throughout the match, we see lots of opportunistic defense as the scoring width gets wider. I love seeing these fast-paced finals matches, and it was especially cool to have a front row seat at finals, since I was able to be down in front of the field. This match was awesome and was a great show of some high-performance machines. Now, let's talk about awards. Team 1511 won the Regional Impact Award, and Team 6806, the Mineola Wild Reds, won the Regional Engineering Inspiration Award. Congratulations to both teams for their efforts. With so many teams, one could only imagine the crazy match stats. We saw 9 unicorn matches during quals, meaning an alliance win, plus the sustainability and activation bonuses, which I have not seen at any of the events I've covered. We also saw a high score of 156 in Finals 1, albeit with 1 foul. That's all for Finger Lakes. Back to you, Steve.
Thanks, Nick. Our next region of the night is our SEweet, the Southeast region, where Griffin is bringing us the action from 2 CHS district events. Griffin, good to see you again. Bring us up to date on what happened at the Alexandria and Portsmouth events in Virginia this weekend.
All right, well, week 3 was the rise of many teams in Chesapeake. For some, it was their first event, while others were trying to make a splash at their second. We start off this week with the Alexandria event at Hayfield Secondary School, where 40 teams took to the field to fill the grids and engage with the charging stations. After 80 qualification matches, sitting at the top was 8592 Newton Squared, who went undefeated in the qualification rounds thanks to their stellar driving and elevator system. They picked up 1727 Rex and rounded out the alliance with 2421 RTR Robotics. This alliance was a force to be reckoned with, as they scored no lower than 141 in eliminations, deciding to constantly dump all their human player cubes onto the field once the top row was filled, so the rowers could just easily grab and score for the bottom row, and cap it all off with a triple balance. This power got them an easy win streak through the upper bracket, meeting with the number 3 seed of 686 Bovine Intervention, 4472 Supernova, and 3748 Ragnarok Robotics in the finals. While the third seed was able to pull up a normally high score average of 90, it just wasn't enough for the raw scoring strength that the Letters Alliance had, resulting in a win and an undefeated streak for 8592's first blue banner. Congratulations to the winning alliance, as well as to 9033 Autobots on Rookie All-Star, 1727 Rex for EI and that gold-silver Kling Bling, and to 5587 Titan Robotics on Impact. Heading south and then east towards the Bay will bring us to the Portsmouth event, where 29 teams competed in 58 qualification matches at Churchland High School. Qualifications were all over the place, as there were some high-scoring matches, with the high score being 191, granted with 76 penalty points. And while some barely could even manage to get over 30 points. After all qualification matches were played, sitting at the top to no one's surprise was Blacksburg champion 2363 Triple Helix. They quickly picked up another high-consistency bot 5804 Torch and rounded out the alliance with 539 Titans. Together, this team was on a roll, scoring no lower than 106 and scoring above 125 for the rest of their matches thanks to the fast scoring of 2363 and 5804, with a triple balance as a cherry on top. The number 1 seed easily won their way to the finals, where they would face off against the second seed of 3136 Orca, 1599 Circuitry, and 1793 the Aviators, and backup bot 2068 Metal Jackets. While Finals 1 saw the number 2 seed put up a great score of 105 points, it wasn't enough to counteract the scoring prowess that 5804 and 2363 could apply, resulting in match 1 to the number 1 seed. In match 2, both 31 and 36 and 1599 saw problems in their elevators, resulting in them not being able to score high for the second half of the match. While still getting an impressive score of 96, the win was in the books for the number 1 seed. Congratulations to 2363 on their second win of the season and the current 6th in their streak of event wins for the past 2 seasons. Congratulations also to 5804 Torch and 539 Titans, representing the private schools of Richmond in this win. Huge congratulations also to 9214 Roadsters on Rookie All-Star, 122 NASA Knights on EI, and 2068 on their Impact for that gold, silver, Kling Bling.
Thanks, Griffin. Staying in the SEweet Southeast region, we've got Evan here to fill us in on what took place out in the FNC district at the Mecklenburg County event and the Wake County event. Evan, how things go for you down in FNC country?
Things went quite well. The Mecklenburg event in Charlotte, North Carolina was an interesting event. It was not a very deep field, but some of the teams here were top notch for FNC. There was a total of 27 teams in attendance, and the top teams were 5727, the Omega Bytes, Team 3506, Yeti, Team 1533, Triple Strange, and Team 4290, Bots on Wheels. The high score of the event was set in Qual 23 with 131 points. Omega Bytes and Yeti set this score. At the end of qualifications, Omega Bytes was ranked number 1, and they were followed by Triple Strange and Yeti. Alliance number 1 ended up with Omega Bytes, Yeti, and 7270, the Bandits. Alliance number 2 was comprised of Triple Strange, Bots on Wheels, and 6512 Coastal Catastrophe. Both of these alliances called for backup not long in the playoffs to replace their second pick. During the bracket before finals, there was almost no way Alliance number 1 would be beaten. They won all matches in the upper bracket until finals. Alliance 2 took the scenic route to finals. They won their first match, lost their second by 9 points, and fought their way through the lower bracket until finals. They won match 13 by 5 points, and that was the closest match in the playoffs thus far. The finals are some of the most interesting matches at the event. They were just nuts. Final 1 was won by Alliance number 2 by a single point, and it was decided by a penalty. In the second finals match, both Omega Bytes and Yeti's auto failed. It seemed like there's absolutely no way out of a loss for them. Then midway through that match, in a strange occurrence, 1533's bumper took off a charging station panel on their side of the field, causing a field fall, and the match was replayed, giving Alliance 1 on a second chance at the perfect moment for them. The last finals match went off without incident, where Alliance 2 took home a gold Kling Bling and Alliance 1 grabbed a silver one. Moving on to awards, congratulations to Team 9005 Avian Robotics for getting the Rookie All-Star Award, letting them fly on over to state championships. The Engineering Inspiration Award went to Team 3459 Pyrotech, and congratulations to Team 5727 for the Impact Award, leaving them with a silver and gold Kling Bling at the end of the event. Let's now move on to the Wake County event, which was located in Greensboro, North Carolina. This event was overall a lot more competitive than the Mecklenburg event. There are also 27 teams in attendance here, so these were not huge events. The top teams here were 789 Sequence, 4795 eSpots, 4561 the Terabytes, and 587 the Hedgehogs. The high score of the event was in Qual 14 with a score of 161. This was with 34 penalty points. In Alliance selection, Sequence was ranked 1 with Terabytes and eSpots closely following in ranking points. Alliance 1 with Sequence, they chose eSpots along with 8757 the Geobots. Alliance 2, Terabytes picked Hedgehogs, and 8758 the Tar Robo Turtles. Like at Mecklenburg, Alliance 1 took the upper bracket all the way up to finals. Coincidentally, Alliance 2 also went to finals, but they lost their second match, which was match 8, and took the scenic route all the way up, also quite similar to Mecklenburg. This was an interesting event in that there was a lot of high scores in the playoffs, but there was usually a big gap between alliances. Match 8 was the exception to this, as it was a 6-point difference with a score of 127 to 121. The first finals match was won by the Red Alliance with a score of 125 to 117. The second finals match was similar to that, and it was also won by the Red Alliance. Finals 2 put up the high score of the playoffs with 145 to 131. Let's move on to awards given at this event. Congratulations to Team 9259 Wattbots for the Rookie All-Star Award. The 4795 took home the Engineering Inspiration Award, giving them a gold and silver Kling Bling. Congratulations also to Team 587 for the Impact Award, also giving them a gold and silver Kling Bling. Overall, this was the most competitive and exciting event thus far in North Carolina. Back to you, Steve.
And James is here to take us home, starting with the PCH District Gwinnett event, followed by the Orlando Regional. James, recap the action from PCH and Orlando this weekend.
Well, the Gwinnett event was bound to be one of the most exciting in the Peachtree District this season, with many of the district's heavy hitters competing. Teams like the likes of IHOT, Columbus Space Program, Otto, Wired Cats, Robo Lions, the Mechanisms, the Mechanical Bulls, and of course, North Gwinnett Robotics. The qualification rounds were as exciting as you would expect with teams like this. Many matches had high scores, and a few were nail-biters coming down to 5 points or less. After 54 qualification matches, coming out on top would be 4509, the Mechanical Bulls. Their design simplicity and consistency won big over the complexity of the other robots. To no one's surprise, they would take the third-ranked 1683, the Techno Titans, and after more than 30 minutes of alliance selection, they would round out their alliance with 8577, the Georgia Cyber Academy champions. The number one alliance would fairly easily make their way through elims, posting the event high score in match 1 of 135. In match 7, however, they faced some heavy defense, and it showed they could potentially be beat, even though they would still come out on top. Finals would wind up being a showdown between the first and second seeds. The second seed was led by second-ranked 1771 North Gwinnett, joined by 4188, the Columbus Space Program, and 2415, the Wired Cats. The first match was an absolute thriller. The Blue Alliance would take an early lead in auto, but the lead would change hands many times in the match. Both alliances frantically cycled back and forth, quickly picking up cones and cubes while facing defense from both alliances' third robots. This match came down to one drop game piece and a third robot parking in the community. The final score was 110 to 106, going in favor of the Blue Alliance. The second match was more of the same, the Blue Alliance taking another lead in auto, but Red would quickly take it back. As the match went on, it looked like Red would win it based on their consistency, at one point taking a 20-point lead. But the Blue Alliance would make up the difference, and when time hit 0, the score was 92 Red, 90 Blue. Both alliances attempted a triple balance, neither quite successful. It was difficult to count how the score would play out. When the Haas F1 car left the pit, it was the Blue Alliance winning, 104 to 98, and taking home the event win. These matches were breathtaking, and congratulations to both alliances for putting on such a wonderful show. Earning the Rookie All-Star was 9057 Girl. The Engineering Inspiration Award was won by 1746 Otto. And finally, taking home the Impact Award was 7538 Metal Mountain. Next week in Carrollton, Georgia, and South Carolina will be the next PCH events. One of our hosts, Justin, wants to invite you all to come say hi in Hartsville. He will be there with Team 342. I wish all teams in PCH next week good luck. We now head down south to the only state south of Georgia for the Orlando Regional in Orlando, Florida, which brought together 54 teams from 4 states and 5 countries. Of these 54 teams, 17 of them had already competed, including 3 of the teams who were finalists in South Florida, with the winning team being 179 Children of the Swamp, and the finalist captain and first pick of 5472 Wild Stallions and Team 180 Spam. Alongside them were several teams who were making an impression in their debuts, such as 86 Team Resistance, 4118 Roaring Riptide, 6722 LED Robotics, and 8841 the Red Fins. These teams would battle it out for the number 1 seed through the course of the event, but ultimately Team 179 would secure it with a perfect 10-0 record and a 3-0 RP average. 179 would make a very familiar selection with the third-ranked team of 180. This would lead 8841 as the number 2 seed, and with a small amount of, let's call it, singed earth, many of the remaining strong teams would not be able to select each other. 5472 would captain the 3rd seed and would make the call to select Team 59 Ramtech with their first selection. A somewhat risky choice as they started off the event slow but had made a push into a very solid scoring machine during later quals. The 3rd seed would round out their alliance with 6743 Tiger Engineering, a deceptively quick low goal scorer, signaling their desire to go for triple offense and eliminations, while the number 1 seed would select the Hall of Fame team 1902 Exploding Bacon to join them, a pick that it was not clear if it would lead to triple offense or a 2 offense 1 defense, until during match 7, 192 would come out with their elevator removed and hashtag no batteries this time weight gain. 1 and 3 would face each other in match 11 to decide who would go to finals and who would be in the 3rd place decider of match 13. With back and forth scoring through the whole match, ultimately it would be a single penalty for game piece hurting that would break the stalemate. With a score of 145 to 140, Alliance 3 would go to finals, while Alliance 1 would face Alliance 5, that of the previously mentioned 86 and 4118, as well as Team 1592 Bionic Tigers. In this match, Alliance 1 would have 180 abandon their previous shoot 3 cube and balance auto for a more reliable 1 cone high and balance auto, as the chaos of the missed cubes were a factor in their loss in match 11. Alliance 1 would get their victory and head back to face Alliance 3 in the finals. In Finals 1, we had another back and forth match where once again a pair of penalties for contact inside of a protected zone and for extending in said protected zone would result in a score of 148 to 138 and a win for the 1st seed Alliance this time. Finals match 2 is another very close match, where this time both alliances would be called for the same penalties that had cost them in previous matches, resulting in a true die straight down the scoring display and a match score of 151 for both alliances. Finals match 3 showed that Alliance 3 had done their homework and had finally gotten all their game pieces to come together to make links. And after the first failed triple from Alliance 1, Alliance 3 would take the match, the first match not decided by penalties, with a score of 155 to 136. After some initial confusion about the decreased time between Finals 3 and Overtime Finals, both alliances made it out to the field. This time would be Alliance 1 who got their coordination down, and for the first time outcycling the triple offense strategy of the number 3 seed, despite 180 being stuck on the bridge for the first 10 seconds of the match. With a 14-point and 2-link advantage and only 37 seconds left, it looked like Alliance 1 would be able to easily come away with a victory when 1902 would be flipped over. However, the lead had already developed was enough to overcome the lack of triple engage, and Alliance 1 would overcome would become the 2023 Orlando Regional Champions in what were the closest finals matches I have ever witnessed. Team 179 added another banner to match their South Florida, while Team 180 and 1902 would have their first wins of the season, and this being the first regional win for 1902 since 2013. Congratulations are also in order to Team 4091 Drift from the Dominican Republic for their Engineering Inspiration Award. Team 1622, Team Spider, would earn a well-deserved Impact Award. The wildcards from 179's previous win, 1902's Hall of Fame status, and 1622's previous EI win at Canadian Pacific resulted in the Rookie All-Star Award winner, 9284 Edu Wizards from Pakistan, punching their ticket to champs, as well as 5472 and 59 receiving their invitations. In just 3 days, we will see many of these teams who competed in Orlando make the trip 3 hours north to the state capital of Tallahassee, as well as a lot of them making trips to the remaining Southern Regionals in Week 5 and Week 6. With that, back to Steve to introduce our next region.
That wraps up the SEweet region. Next up, we have Canada. And Emma is bringing us the action from north of the border, covering both events being held in Ontario District. First up, she's going to recap the Humber College event, followed by the Western University Engineering event. Emma, welcome back to Fun. How did your events go up in Canada this weekend?
Thanks, Steve. Last week there were no Ontario events, so I'm super happy to be back. Both Ontario events this week were ones to keep an eye out on. We've seen many of these teams at week 1, so I was super excited to see their improvement. Going into the Humber competition, I had my eye on 4476 Waffles, 7558 Alt F4, and 1310 Runnymede Robotics coming back from a season off. The teams at this competition showed up to win, setting the high score early in qualification match 4. Waffles 4476, Alt F4 7558, and Merge 2706 collectively earned 130 points. And although there were a lot of amazing teams competing in high-scoring matches, not a single alliance earned 4 ranking points this whole competition. It's crazy. Moving on to playoffs, a lot of hardworking teams gave it their all to secure that blue banner. Unfortunately, only one alliance can be named winners, and that alliance was captained by Waffles 4476 with Alt F4 7558 and Wolverines 5596. Shout out to the event finalists 7690 Ironworks Robotics, DM High Voltage 2852, and Runnymede Robotics 1310. A lot of lovely teams means a lot of well-deserved awards. Congratulations to 2706 Merge for taking home the Impact Award. 5719 Pink Titans picked up the Autonomous Award. The Engineering Inspiration Award went to 4343 Max Tech, and Romero Robotics 6397 won the Creativity Award. Excellence in Engineering went to 7558, while 6135 Arctos won the Gracious Professionalism Award, and 4476 earned the Industrial Design Award. Congratulations to all the teams that competed this weekend. Now moving on to the Western University event, this week we had a few American teams coming up from Michigan to put their hats in for an American Blue Banner. We got to see all of the Robo-Dogs, 216, 244, and 288, plus Strike Zone 5460. This was a pretty stacked competition, and I had no clue how it would unfold. However, I was super eager to see 4907, the Thunderstamps. You've definitely heard of this team since they made a jumping robot last year. Known for always thinking outside of the box and making super unique robots, I was excited to see what they came up with this year. And they did not disappoint. With 2 bumper cutouts and 5 wheels, their uniquely shaped robot allows them to perfectly line up on the grid by straddling the hybrid no dividers. A high score of 146 with no penalties was set in qualification 19 by 1241 Theory 6, 3683 Team Dave, and 288 the Robodogs. Side question. Is Roombas on the field during lunch just an Ontario thing? Because I could not look away. Speaking about robots, I could not stop watching Team Dave. They were so clean and smooth, and by all accounts, the best cycler in the competition. With teams trying to put themselves in picking position, the last qualification matches of the event were intense, with double-triple balances. That's when both alliances have all 3 robots docked and engaged on the charge station by the end of the match. Moving into alliance selections, they were probably the most declines I've seen at a competition. But eventually, 8 alliances were set and we started playoffs. Playoffs were intense, with all 8 alliances working hard for that coveted blue banner. Scores were high and close, and there was no room for error. The final saw Alliance 1 and Alliance 2 go head-to-head, taking it to 3 matches no one was giving up easily. Alliance 1, captained by Dave 3683, included 4039 Makeshift, 6854 Viking Robotics, and 288 the Robodogs, weren't able to beat Alliance 2, captained by 4907 Thunderstamps, with 1325 Inverse Paradox and 5870 League of Logic. Congratulations to everyone. Thanks for watching, and back to you, Steve.
Thanks, Emma. That was good to see my local team, Strike Zone, hanging out up with you guys up there in Canada. Up next is our international region. We have 4 events internationally to cover, and Danny's here first to break down ISR District number 3 and number 4. Danny, how are those events, the 2 ISR events this week?
Thanks, Steve. What a dramatic week it has been over here in Israel, and it all started with ISR 3. 30 Israeli teams participated in the event, including teams 1577, 1690, 3075, 3339, 5654, and 5987. We had 60 amazing qualification matches, with match 56 setting a new world record at the time, 163 unpenalized points. In the end, it would be team 3339 Bumblebee to finish first, with a record of 93 and a 3.16 ranking score. They would pay 5077 Steampunk, who finished third, and 7177 Amal Taibe to join their alliance. In the playoffs, things were dramatic from the very first round. Alliances 1, 2, 3, and 4 all lost their first matches to Alliances 5, 6, 7, and 8, and found themselves in the lower bracket. In the upper bracket, the last match, match 11, featured Alliances 5 and 7. The match ended in a tie, 130 to 130, and was unpenalized, resulting the match to be decided on auto points. This sent Alliance 5, consisting of team 3388 Flash, 5135 Black Unicorns, and 1943 Me Team to the finals, and Alliance 7 to match 13 in the lower bracket. Match 13 would meet Alliance 7 with Alliance 2, and at the end of those 2.5 minutes, it would be Alliance 7 with teams 6738 Excalibur, 4590 Gremblitz, and 3065 Jut to take the win again and advance to the finals. Final 1 had a clear blue advantage, and Alliance 7 won 126 to 92. In Finals 2, 6738 had technical difficulties, and with 2 bots against 3, Alliance 5 would win 135 to 110. In Final 3, Alliance 7 got all of her bots working again, and won by almost 50 points difference, 121 to 78. Congratulations to the winners and to Team 6738 Excalibur for their Silver Gold Kling Bling for winning the event and the Engineering Inspiration Award. Congratulations for Team 3211, the White Team, for winning the Impact Award. And after all this drama, we took no time to rest and got right into ISR 4. This event was the largest event this season here in Israel, with 32 teams, including 2230, 2630, 5715, and 7039. After 64 qualification matches, it was Team 5715 DRC with a perfect 12-win record and a 3.41 ranking score that finished first. They picked teams 6168 Al-Zarawi and 1937 Elysium to join their alliance. Match 11 brought together Alliances 1 and 2. And at the end, Alliance 2, featuring teams 2230 General Angels, 2630 Thunderbolts, and 4320 the Joker, win the match and advance to the finals, with Alliance 1 being sent to match 13. In match 13, Alliance 1 met Alliance 3, with teams 7039 EXO, 1574 Miskar, and 7112 Evergreen. 7039 and 7112 already won an event together this season. However, this didn't help the Alliance 3, and Alliance 1 won 115 to 103. Final 1 was pretty close, with Alliance 1 taking the win 122 to 116. In Finals 2, Alliance 2 won 142 to 124, sending the series to a third match. In Final 3, Alliance 2 had a big lead, and they won the match 143 to 109. Congratulations to the winners, and to Team 6168 Al-Zarawi for their Silver Gold Kling Bling for finalists and winning the Impact Award. Congrats also to Team 5614, Team Sycamore, for winning the Engineering Inspiration. This week, we are looking forward to our district championship. Starting tomorrow, the top 45 Israeli teams will take part in this event. With qual matches starting on Wednesday, we invite you all to tune in and join us for our last event of the season. Until then, back to you, Steve.
Thanks, Danny. Staying in the international region, next up we go to one of my favorite events of the weekend, simply because of the presentation. The video I saw alone, it just looked like a ton of fun. I wish I learned more Portuguese so that I could have watched it and actually understood what was being said, but that was the Brazil regional taking place in the Brasileiro city near down in Brazil, the Brazil regional. Our man Lino is here to bring us the action, as well as the action from the regional Puebla in Mexico. Lino, welcome back, my friend. How things go at your events this weekend?
Okay, before we get started, I would like to apologize if I mispronunciate something. Let's get started with our First in Brazil recap. First in Brazil is back, and it was an event to remember. The event is in the National Brazil Stadium, Mané Garrincha, with a production level just as if you were watching the championship. The stadium was also hosting FLL and FTC competitions, so if you sit back and watch the whole event, it looks really cool. We had all of the Brazil teams here competing, and some of the top teams were 1156 Under Control, 1860 Alpha Bots, 9164 Tech Vikings, and some of the SEweet teams, which are 7563 Megaswords, 7567 Octopus, 7565 Robotics, and 9200 Stardusts. Also, a big shout out to Team 9087 STEM Machines, who traveled from Colombia to the event. During the qualification matches, we saw a perfect record from 7563, which made them take rank 1 with their consistent robot placing cones and cubes. Going into alliance selections, everyone kept picking from the top ranked teams, which made the number 15 seeded team actually the Alliance 8 captain. Playoffs had a lot of noise and excitement. In the first round, the number 6 Alliance pulled the upset on the number 3 Alliance. Round 2 had the number 1 Alliance actually going to the lower bracket, after the Alliance 4 pulled a big upset win on them. Playoffs continued, and when we got to the finals, it was Alliance 4, consisting of 9200, 7565, and 9175, who arrived from the upper bracket, against the Alliance 1 of 7563, 1156, and 9168, who made it from the lower bracket. Alliance 4 took the first match by just a 10-point difference. Then Alliance 1 took the second match, scoring a total of 101 points. It was a big win. However, the final match was just decided by 3 points, which the Blue Alliance number 1 won the event. Congratulations to 7563, SEweet Megasword, 1156 Under Control, and 9168 Agrobots. Also, a big shout out to Team 9085, SEweet Mega Harpy for taking the engineering inspiration, the Rookie All-Star 9219 Ninetales, and the Impact Award to 7563 SEweet Megasword. In week 3 in Mexico, we had the Puebla Regional, featuring many teams who were looking for their first win, such as 4775 Aztecs, 2283 Panteras, and Prepa Tech teams like 4010 Nautilus, 6348 Otis, 6647 Baltic, 6017 Siberius, and 7102 Daedalus. When following this regional, I think everyone could agree that after the first day, no one knew how the rankings were gonna be. We really didn't know how this event was gonna finish up. It came down to those final qualification matches to see where every team was positioned in the rankings. Alliance selection was also a thrill for everyone, as 3478 and 4010 formed the number 1 alliance. Then 6348 with 6647 formed the number 2 alliance. But then 7102 actually declined to join the number 3 alliance, and they opted to form their own alliance with 6017. Playoffs went as expected, until round 4, in which alliance number 2 upset the alliance number 1. It was a close match. But then another surprise happened on round 5 of the lower bracket, as the alliance number 4 pulled the upset against alliance number 1. The team on the finals were alliance number 2, with their captain 6348 Otus, 6647 Baltic, and 3527 Balam Esmeralda. And then on alliance 2 we had 7102 Daedalus, 60-17 Siberius, and 91-18 Peavers. It was a special one for all the teams involved, as only 35-27 had won a regional some time ago. The others had never won a regional before. After 2 matches, the number 2 alliance took it, and Prepatech Odus and Baltic had just won their first winner banner. I would also like to congratulate 91-18 Peavers Laguna Peñoles for their Rookie All-Star Award, 40-10 Prepatech Nautilus, who took Engineering Inspiration, and 6606 Tech Millennium Pinkhawks on the Impact Award.
Thanks, Lino. Before we get into our recaps for the InFiMidation region, let's bring on producer Tyler to talk about our sponsor, Kettering University.
Hey, thanks a lot, Steve. Appreciate it. Hey, make sure you go check out Kettering University at kettering.edu/first. Kettering University is going to be all over First events. You probably have seen them if you've been to a First event as well, because you're at probably close to half of them this year. So if you're interested in learning more about a university that truly cares about people who have been in First, wants to help them grow and develop. Actually, did you know that 30% of high school students that are going to Kettering University were in high school robotics? Go check out Kettering University at kettering.edu/first to learn more about what Kettering can do for you and to see the fantastic programs they have as well. Thanks a lot to Kettering University for their continued support of First Updates Now, and go ahead to kettering.edu/first to see where you might find a Kettering University rep near you.
Thanks, Tyler. Up next, we head into our next region, InFiMidation, or First in Michigan, where we have 5 events to cover, and Dan is here starting us off to break down the Traverse City and the Muskegon events. Dan, good to see you again, buddy. Welcome back. How did things shake out at your events this weekend?
Yeah, thanks, Steve. Traverse City saw a surprising amount of bonus RPs, with 85 activation bonuses and 16 sustainability bonuses and 72 matches. A few teams definitely spearheaded the extra RPs here. 7160, the Ludington Obots, came back with an absolute vengeance after finishing 25th in qualifications at Kelvin. They would demolish qualifications, going 12-0 and getting 37 ranking points. 2834, the Bionic Blackhawks would take second, 5 ranking points behind at 32 after finishing 21st at Jackson, and 3688 would take third with 31 ranking points, with 1711 taking fourth with 30. Playoff selections would be very interesting, to say the least. 7160 would pick up 3688, 2834 would opt for 3767, and 1711 would pick up 910. And then things kind of fell apart. It would be the 5th alliance coming out of selections as the favorite, who consisted of 3603, 4377, and 5534. All 3 of them were top 10 scoring robots, according to the data I had. I'm not quite sure how they all ended up on that 5th alliance, but congratulations to the captains there for scouting. And the first round, the 7th seed would be upset by the 2nd seed would be upset by the 7th seed, and the 2nd seed would also use their backup coupon, swapping out 7155 for 5110. In the second round, the 5th alliance would beat the number 1 alliance, kind of as expected, and the 3rd alliance would take care of the 7th seed. They set up a very early 1v2 in the lower bracket in round 3. And unfortunately for the number 1 alliance, their captain 7160's battery would come unplugged after a small hit, leading to them getting eliminated 131-96. Round 4, it would see 5v2 in the infamous match 11, 5v3 in the infamous match 11, in which 1711, who was the 3rd alliance's captain, would tip coming out of the charge station in auto, leading to the very close match, but the 5th alliance being able to pull it out 116-105 on a robot down on the 3rd alliance. The 2nd and 3rd alliances would face off to see who would go to the finals to face that 5th alliance. The 2nd alliance would win by 26 after an errant auto on Alliance 3 that led to 27 penalty points. For finals, we had a 5v2, and they would score the same amount of pieces in Finals 1. However, Alliance 5 would miss the auto, docked, and engaged points, and leaving 2 links at 2 of 3 game pieces scored, which led to an Alliance 2 win of 124-100. In Finals 2, it would be Alliance 5, though, that would have the better link completion, scoring 1 more game piece than Alliance 2, and they would win Finals 2 132-121. This set up a rubber match in Finals 3, and unfortunately for the 5th alliance, they had some less than functional robots after going through the bracket, and Alliance 2 would win 131 to 99. Congratulations to the second seed of 28-34, the Bionic Blackhawks, 37-67 Titan, and 71-55 the Robotic Rangers, as well as 51-10 RoboHerd on the gold. And congratulations to 36-03, 43-77, and 55-34 on the silver. 9-10 would take home the Impact Award, and 36-88 would take home Engineering Inspiration. Moving down to the west coast of Michigan to Muskegon, we saw a little different story with much closer rankings for those top 4 teams. 43-81 would finish first, going 12-0 in qualifications with 39 ranking points. 35-38 would trail in second, going 11-1 with 37. 35-72 would take third with 35, and 20-75 would round out the top 4. 41-81 would pick 35-38 and 6005 for that to form the first alliance, and 3752 would pick 2075 and 904 to form the second alliance. Playoffs here saw significantly more points scored than in Traverse City. The first alliance would use a 2 offense, 1 defense strategy and absolutely took no prisoners here. They'd win 160 to 72 in round 1 and 159 to 106 in round 2. Their only close match really in playoffs at all was match 11 against the second alliance, when 6005, which was their defense spot, became dead in the water with around 100 seconds left, and their captain, 4381, would tip with 80 seconds to go. Yet they only lost by 2 points. It was 135 to 137, and that was just absolutely how dominant the number 1 alliance was in Muskegon. Needless to say that number 1 alliance did recover in the lower bracket, winning 159 to 128 against the 4th alliance. Finals would set up that 1v2 rematch, with Alliance 2 going triple offense and the number 1 alliance sticking with their tried and true 2 offense, 1 defense. Alliance 1 and Finals 1 would only score 1 extra game piece, but once again, as we're hearing at a lot of regionals and districts, they were able to complete those links more efficiently, and that just ripped the game wide open, especially in endgame when the number 2 alliance failed to balance. The first alliance would win the first match 152 to 120. In Finals 2, both sides would use the same strategy as Finals 1 and score the same amount of game pieces. However, once again, the number 1 alliance would complete more links and get a triple balance that ultimately shut the door on number 2's alliance's chances and would win 160 to 143. Congratulations to 4381, the Tristed Devils, 3538 RoboJackets, and 6005 Cardinaltronics on the gold. And congratulations to 3572 Wavelength, 2075 Enigma Robotics, and 904 D-Cubed on the silver. 3572 would also take home the Impact Award for a gold-silver Kling Bling, and 141 the Wobots would take home EI. Back to you, Steve.
Thanks, Dan. Shout out to those Titans up in Traverse City. Game announced one of those events. They were a lot of fun. Up next, we have Lily, who's bringing us 2 more fine events from both the FIM District, the Detroit event, and the Standish Sterling event. Hi, Lily. Good to see you again. How things shake out in Detroit and at Standish Sterling?
Over the weekend, we saw some great robot play, good defense in many close matches, and clever robot scoring systems in Detroit. One of my favorite matches in particular was in round 4, match 11, one of the higher scoring matches at the event. The match started off strong with an impressive Auton score from both the number 1 and number 2 alliances who played each other in this match, as they headed into teleop nearly neck and neck. During the teleop period, both alliances were able to fill out the top rows of their grids. However, the number 1 alliance almost nearly filled their middle row of the grid, giving them the lead. Both alliances completed a 3 robot balance on the charge pad, but the number 1 alliance had won this match, sending the number 2 into the lower bracket with a score of 149 to 123. However, the number 2 alliance does meet the number 1 again in the finals. Finals match number 1 was very interesting to watch. Both alliances, again, had a great autonomous start, which included 1 robot each engaging with a charge pad. Coming out of Auton, the Red Alliance had a slight lead against the Blue. And one of the real game changers during this match was the sheer speed of all robots on both alliances and how it left little room for any defense played in this match. The Red Alliance ended the match with 5 links and the Blue with 3. And in the end game, the Blue Alliance had a 3-robot balance, while the Red only had 2. However, in the end, the Red Alliance won this match, leading the Blue Alliance 156 to 119, one of the highest scores we saw in First in Michigan this weekend. And in the finals, match number 2, the number 1 Alliance was able to continue to secure the win for the 2023 Detroit District event. The event winners being the number 1 Alliance, captained by Team 2337, the Engine Nerds, 1701, the Robo Cubs, 7856, UPAD Fusion, and 5756, the Wreckin' Crew. Engineering Inspiration was won by Team 5577, the Kinematic Wolves. Rookie All-Star was won by Team 9255, the Bot Masters, and the Impact Award was won by Team 3414, the Hackbots. At the Standish Sterling District, we saw more great robot action. One of my favorite matches in particular was early in the competition in qualification match number 3. And if anyone knows me, they know I love close matches. Both the Red and Blue Alliances became neck and neck in the autonomous period, and it became anyone's game from there. During the teleop period, both alliances were cycling game pieces, but the Blue Alliance took the lead during the teleop period. By the end, the Red Alliance had scored 3 links, and the Blue Alliance scored 2. During the endgame, the Blue Alliance had 2 robots engaged with the charge pad, while the Red had 2 parked and 1 docked. And in the end, the Blue Alliance won the match 96 to 93. In the eliminations, we saw more great robot play in the new playoff bracket. More higher scoring matches were played, but as we narrowed down in the end, we saw the number 1 Alliance meet the number 3 in the playoffs, even after the number 3 had been moved down to the lower bracket earlier before, having previously lost to the number 1 Alliance in a LIMS match number 11. Finals match number 1, we saw the Blue Alliance start off the match by leading against the Red in the autonomous period 39 to 36, but again, it became anyone's game in teleop. Throughout teleop, we saw immediate gridlock and defense being played by both alliances as all robots raced for game pieces. We continued to see major defense being played by both alliances as they continued to rack up grid points. For over half the match, the alliances kept the match close in points. Red Alliance started to climb as they were cycling game pieces, widening the gap between the alliances. And in the endgame, both alliances had 2 robots engaged onto the charge pad. However, the Red Alliance won the match 128 to 107. And the number 1 Alliance would carry on that win to finals match number 2, where they would win again, securing the district title. The district event winners being the number 1 Alliance, captained by Team 302 the Dragons, 1506 Metal Muscle, and 6533 Beaver Tech. Engineering Inspiration was won by Team 4391, the Brave Bots. Rookie All-Star was won by Team 9227, Gladwin's Flying G, and the Impact Award was won by Team 5216, Evil Empire. Now, back to you, Steve.
Thanks, Lily. We've got one last event to cover here for InFiMidation, and rounding us out is crusty veteran Nick Jr., who's recapping the action from the Film District Belleville event. Nick, welcome back to Recap. It's good to see you again. How things go out in Belleville?
Thanks, Steve. We head to the home of the Tigers, otherwise known as Belleville High School, for the Belleville District event that happened this past weekend. Last year's winners of 33 the Killer Bees and 4362 Gems look to be the 2 favorites coming into this event, with 3668 the Trobots and 1023 the Bedford Express also in the mix, looking to take a crack at the number 1 seed. At the end of Friday night, 33 was in the driver's seat for the 1 seed, up by 2 RP, but had mechanical issues in 2 of their matches Saturday morning, while 3668 took care of business in their matches on Saturday, and it would be 3668 the Trobots from Whitmore Lake, who would take the number 1 seed. They would go on to select 4362 the CSPA Gems from Howell, and 9182 Tech Tribe from New Boston. 33 Killer Bees would be your number 2 captain, and they would select 1023 the Bedford Express from Temperance, and 8519 Iron Eagles from Erie to round out the number 2 seed. That would leave 3604 Goon Squad as the captain of 3, and they would select 5050 Cowtown Robotics and 6538 the Linkbots from Ypsilanti. The 4 seed would be captained by 7174 the Chargers, or Charger Robotics, and they would select 3656 the Dreadbots and 3667 Macadam Knights. Moving into the playoffs, it would be the 1 seed led by 3668 and 4362, and the 2 seed led by 33 and 1023 in the winners bracket finals. This is where things would get interesting. The first match these two alliances played would actually end in a complete tie, tying all 4 of the tie-breaking scenarios listed in the manual. And obviously you don't see this on TBA or FRC events because this has actually resulted in a full-blown replay of the match. In the replay, 1023 had a mechanical failure that happened in the first match and could only go mid-row for the rest of the tournament, but the 2 seed still almost won the match, giving the 1 seed a run for their money, but would lose and go to the losers bracket finals. It would be the 3 seed, led by 3604 and 5050, that would meet the 2 seed in the losers bracket finals, but the 3 seed would prevail and meet the 1 seed in the finals. The 1 seed would take the finals in 3 matches, with tying in match 2. The 1 seed would win 2-0-1 in the series. Congrats to 3668, the Trobots, 4362, CSPA Gems, and 9182 for taking home the championship banner. First Impact was won by Team 7174, Charger Robotics. 5050, Cowtown Robotics won Engineering Inspiration, and Rookie All-Star was won by 9226 GR Pioneers. Back to you, Steve.
Thanks, Nick. Up next, we're heading to the North region, or Midwest, as they like to call it. And we have 2 events on tap. And up first, we have Nick S. here to bring us the action from the Central Illinois Regional. How do things shake out over at Central Illinois Regional, Nick?
The Central Illinois Regional took place this past week at the Renaissance Coliseum of Bradley University in Peoria, Illinois. This event gained particular notability last year after hosting the world's first triple traversal endgame. This year, it had the notable distinction of hosting teams from 2 other districts, 27 Team Rush and 3539 Biting Bulldogs from Michigan, and 234 Cyber Blue from Indiana. After a particularly tough round of qualifiers with a clean high score of 155 in match 33, playoffs began. Playoffs were tight, with a third of the matches decided by a win margin below 15% and almost a third resulting in upsets. One interesting back-and-forth exchange was between the 2 and 3 seed alliances. In match 8, Alliance 3 beat Alliance 2, resulting in an upset. In the first run of match 13, Alliance 3 won. Then, a field fault was called, and Alliance 2 won in the rematch. This made finals a face-off of the 1 seed alliance and the 2 seed alliance. The 2 seed alliance made a valiant effort, but the 1 seed took home the victory in 2 matches. Congratulations to winning captain 1756 Argos on their 4th Central Illinois regional win in a row, winning first pick 4143 Mars Wars, and winning second pick 4096 Control Z. Together, this alliance defended the event's unique status of rarely having out-of-state winners, with the most recent being 2220 Blue Twilight of Minnesota in 2017. We will see 4096 Control Z next week at the Iowa Regional, and again alongside 1756 Argos and 4143 Mars Wars at the World Championship in 5 weeks. Congratulations to Impact Award winner 2080 Robotics, Engineering Inspiration Award winner 2169 King Tech, Woody Flowers finalist Ben Martin of 2481 Robotiers, Volunteer of the Year Evan Johnson, and Dean's List finalists Gabe Cook of 4096 Control Z and Isabel Hartenbauer George of 1736 Robot Casserole.
Thanks, Nick. Up next, we have fun correspondent Samantha, who is at the Miami Valley Regional. Samantha, good to see you again. Thanks for joining us here again on FRC Recap. How did the Miami Valley Regional go down?
Thanks, Steve. The Miami Valley Regional in Cincinnati, Ohio had 51 teams competing. Qualification saw a high score of 161 and a clean high score of 153. In playoffs match 1, Alliance 1 fielded 2 robots and still won 102 to 67. Don't discount Alliance 8 though. They won to everyone but Alliance 1. In match 7, 1 went against 4, and penalties almost costed them the win, with the final score being 141 to 140. In match 11, 1 went against 2 and 1 lost, 120 to 192. Unfortunately for 1, even without the 51 penalty points, it was a clear loss. Down in the lower bracket for match 13, 1 faced off against 8 yet again. It was an extremely close match until endgame when Alliance 8 failed a triple engage. And so Alliance 1 and 2 made their way to finals. In Finals 1, it started off close, with Alliance 1 slowly gaining a larger lead, and even with a tipped robot while trying to engage, they still pulled through. Finals 2 was super close, and it was thanks to a few more scored game pieces and another link that pulled them through to victory. Congratulations to our winning Alliance captain, 695 Bison Robotics, their first pick, 1732 Hilltopper Robotics, and second pick, 1708 Amped Robotics. And good job to finalist Alliance captain and wildcard 4020 Cyber Tribe, first pick 4028 the Beak Squad, and their second pick 3504 Girls of Steel. Our Impact Award went to 1038 Lakota Robotics. Engineering Inspiration went to 2614 Mountaineer Area Robotics, Mars. And our Rookie All-Star and our second wild card went to 9097 MacBusters FRC. Well done to everyone who competed. Back to you, Steve.
Thanks, Samantha. Moving on to the Mouth of the South region. And today we're going to start off with Jeff, who's bringing us the action from both the Heartland Regional and the Fit District Fort Worth event. Jeff, how do things go down south at your events this weekend?
Thank you, Steve. Starting off, we travel to Olathe, Kansas, where 36 teams competed in the Heartland Regional for their shot at a ticket to the championship. Teams from 6 states, including a visiting team from the 1st Indiana District, battled it out in 72 qualification matches, with multiple 4RP matches as early as match 8. There were multiple contenders poised to take this event, including 1710, the Robotics Revolution from just up the road in Olathe, 1730 Team Driven from Lee's Summit, Missouri, 1987 Bronco Bots, also from Lee's Summit, 3184 Blaze Robotics from Burnsville, Minnesota, and 5119 Team Steam from Lawrence, Kansas. In the end, by a single ranking point, it would be Team 1987 Bronco Bots taking the #1 spot over Team 3184 Blaze Robotics. However, 1987 would go on to select 3184 as their first pick, rounding out their alliance with 2457 The Law from Lawson, Missouri. The #2 alliance was captained by 1710 The Robotics Revolution. They would go on to select 1730 Team Driven and round out their alliance with 1806 SWAT from Smithville, Missouri. In the elimination rounds, things went rather smoothly in the upper bracket, with the #1 alliance winning every single match to secure their spot in the finals. In the lower bracket, the #7 alliance beat the #6 alliance for the upset in match 6, and the #4 alliance beat the #3 alliance for the upset in match 12, but in the end, the #2 alliance would bounce right back in match 13 to secure their spot in the finals. The #1 alliance continued their dominating run by taking finals in just 2 matches with scores of 131 to 103 and 140 to 122. Congratulations to the #1 alliance. Since there was only one rookie at this event, the judging staff chose to give out the Rookie Inspiration Award instead of the Rookie All-Star to 9269 Ignite Pathways Robotics from Woodbine, Iowa, but congratulations are in order regardless. Also, congratulations to 1710, the Robotics Revolution, on their double silver Kling Bling with the event finalist and Regional Engineering Inspiration Award. And finally, congratulations to 2220 Blue Twilight from Eagan, Minnesota on their first Impact Award. Traveling about 7.5 hours down the Interstate 35 corridor, we arrive at the First in Texas Fort Worth District event. 34 teams from Texas and New Mexico competed to garner enough points to make the district championship coming up in 3 weeks. This was a very stacked lineup, arguably the most stacked event prior to district champs, so let's go through some of the top teams. 148 Robo Wranglers from Greenville, 2714 Barbecue from the Barbecue Center for Kids who want to eat good and learn to do other good stuff good too, 3005 Robochargers from Dallas, 3310 Black Hawk Robotics from Heath, 4206 RoboBikes hosting the event, and 6672 Fusion Core from Irving. This event also featured some dark horses in 8749 Farmersville Robotics and 9128 ItCan Robotics from Richardson. At the end of the 68 qualification matches, it was 3005 taking the #1 spot, a full 5 ranking points ahead of the #2 seed. They would go on to select 6672 Fusion Core, rounding out their alliance with 5613 Thunderdogs from Tularosa, New Mexico. Throughout the absolutely crazy elimination rounds, the number 1 alliance would go into the finals facing off against the number 4 alliance of 148 Robo Wranglers, 9128 IdCan Robotics, and 9105 Techno Talons from Frisco. As a quick side note, I think this alliance featuring an original and sustaining team as well as 2 rookies is just beautiful. 31 years of first bookended by this alliance. With that out of the way, Finals 1 ended up as an Alliance 4 victory with a score of 149 to 140, but Alliance 1 would come back and take the next 2 matches with scores of 150 to 96 and 176 to 152. Congratulations to the number 1 Alliance. Also, congratulations to 9080 NASA's Mark Infinity from Irving on their Rookie All-Star win. Congratulations to 4153 Project Y from Los Alamos, New Mexico on their Engineering Inspiration Award win. And congratulations to 2714 Barbecue on their first Impact Award win. This was all around a great event, and I'm super excited to see these teams battle it out at the District Championship in Week 6. Back to you, Steve.
And before we get into our Best of the West region, let's go ahead and start our giveaway. Here to tell you a bit more about our producer, Tyler.
Hey, thanks, Steve. We have a awesome giveaway from our friends at the Thrifty Bot today for a $25 Thrifty Bot gift card. So if you're interested in winning that, type in Very Thrifty on screen. That's your opportunity to draw for that giveaway. Very Thrifty one more time for that. And don't forget, you do have to be following the channel in order to be eligible to win, and we give a little bit extra luck to our subs. So Very Thrifty, type that in chat right now, and we'll draw for that after the show. So if you're watching live, it's going to be drawn in between our 2 shows as well, too. So thanks a lot to the Thrifty Bot, by the way. Go check them out at thethriftybot.com, and we'll draw for that in just a little bit. We're going to finish up with Mouth of the South. Back to you, Steve.
All right, very, very thrifty are we. Thanks to Thrifty Bot, as always, for sponsoring our giveaway here. And thank you, Jeff, for your previous recap. Up next, we have Riley, who's bringing us the last 2 events from the South. That's the Fit District San Antonio event and the Magnolia Regional. Such Southern-sounding names. Riley, welcome back to Fun. Good to see you again. How things shake out at your events this weekend?
Howdy, y'all. Let's go ahead and head down to First in Texas, San Antonio. We had 42 teams and a bunch of teams to keep an eye out, including the Westlake Trio, which is 2468 Team Appreciate, 2687 Team Apprentice, and 2689 Team Alpha. We also had 2881 Lady Can, 6377 Howdy Bots, and 6800 Valor. After 86 qual matches, the number 1 seed went to 2468 Team Appreciate, who teamed up with their second team, 2687 Team Apprentice, and also picked 8573 Rogue Rangers Legacy. In playoffs round 1, we saw no upsets. In round 2, Alliance 8 beat Alliance 5 in match 5, Alliance 7 beat Alliance 6 in match 6, and Alliance 3 beat Alliance 2 114 to 148 in match 8. In round 3, Alliance 7 beat Alliance 4 in match 9. And in round 4 and 5, we saw no upsets. However, we did see Alliance 1 win their round 4 match against Alliance 3 with the event high score of 191 points, which is also the current world high score minus penalty points of 181 points. And if you want to go see a little bit more information about that match, you can go watch the fun analysis that just got released. In finals, Alliance 1 beat Alliance 2 with a score of 156 to 113 in match 1. And 156 to 110 in match 2. Huge congratulations to 2468, 2687, and 8573 for winning the First in Texas San Antonio District event. For awards, congrats to 9054 for winning Rookie All-Star, 8573 for winning Engineering Inspiration, and 2881 for winning the first Impact Award, as well as to all of the other teams who took home awards. Now heading over to Laurel, Mississippi, where we're looking at the Magnolia Regional. Here we had a Texas Team 118 make an appearance. After 63 qual matches, the number 1 seed went to 3039, who picked 4336 and 5045. In playoffs round 1, we saw Alliance 5 beat Alliance 4. In round 2, we saw Alliance 8 beat Alliance 4. In round 3, we saw Alliance 8 strike again and beat Alliance 3 in a huge upset. In round 4, we saw Alliance 1 replace 50-45 with 37-53. And Alliance 8 struck again, beating Alliance 5. In round 5, Alliance 8, are they going to do it? Are they going to do it? Absolutely they are. They beat Alliance 2, sending themselves into finals. In finals, we saw Alliance 8 beat Alliance 1 in Finals 1, but Alliance 1 came back stronger in Finals 2 and 3, beating Alliance 8. Congratulations to 3039 Wildcat Robotics, 4336 Ramageddon Robotics, 5045 Sparta Bot, and 3753 Bullabots for winning the Magnolia Regional. For awards, congrats to 3735 Bullabots for winning the Engineering Inspiration Award, and 7428 Gigawatts for winning the first Impact Award, as well as to all of the other teams who took home awards. Good luck, break a leg to all of the teams competing in week 4, or if you're me, break your hand. Back to you, Steve.
3, 2.
Thanks, Riley. And our final region of the evening is our West region. West side, best of the West. And up first, we have Andre, who's breaking down the event that took place at the PNW District Bonnie Lake event, as well as the PNW District Sundome event. Andre, welcome back to Recap. How did things take place out at your event?
Thanks, Steve. Near Seattle, in Bonnie Lake, Washington, we see many competitive teams, notably 2930, the Sonic Squirrels, who's returning from their Glacier Peak win, and 2046, Bare Metal, who was the #1 seed at Wilsonville. Throughout the qualification matches, there were a surprising amount of ties and fun matches. 2930, who ended up as the #1 seed, had an excellent elevator and every bot inspired intake to efficiently manipulate game pieces. There was also 2046 returning with their double-jointed arm and unique take on a charge station climb, and 1778, who was their second pick of the winning alliance at Glacier Peak, stronger than ever before. Another thing to note, there were many FMS issues throughout the event, making it complex and interesting. In alliance selection, 2930 chose 2046 and 4681. Alliance 2, captained by 3218, chose 3663 and 1294. In Alliance 3 consisted of 1778, 2522, and 3393. In playoffs, there was a very interesting and destructive turn of events, with Alliance 1, 2, and 4 calling in backups. In round 1, Alliance 1 won against Alliance 8 and advanced through the bracket. A similar fate led this alliance to victory in round 2, but around 4, Alliance 1 suffered due to 4681 being dead on the field and failure to successfully climb the charge station. This dropped the alliance to the lower bracket. In the next match, this alliance was able to barely edge out the second alliance by 5 points, landing them in the finals against the third seed. Here in the finals, 2046 suffered major damage to their intake, frame, and bumpers, leading them to be subbed out for 8896. In this first match, but after the tiebreaker, the third seed was victorious at the event. Congrats to both of these teams and 1294 for winning Engineering Inspiration, and 2557 for winning Judges Award. Now let's move to Sundome to see what happened there. And then farther south in Yakima, Washington, there was a crazy list of teams and events that happened throughout the weekend. The standout pick for this event would be 2910, returning from their Glacier Peak win and one of the top teams in the world. In the qualification matches, there was an interesting turn of events. In qualification match 11, the high score at the time was reached by Team 2910, 2147, and 955. They were able to fill the entire grid minus one cone node. All three of these teams were high-ranked teams, in which they were in the top 3 ranked kings ending day 1. Notably, 955 had major issues with them spinning as they started their auto line, predominantly due to problems with their pigeon. This dropped them down to rank 5 come alliance selection. The top ranked team, 2910, picked 2147 and 4125, creating the #1 seed alliance. In round 1, the #1 alliance immediately had trouble with 2147. 2147 had issues in the first round, causing them to lose it against the 8th seed. This and many other major upsets in the first round created a very interesting elimination rounds, as Alliance 1, 2, 4, and 6 were sent to the lower bracket, leaving 3, 5, 7, and 8 in the upper. Continuing on, Alliance 1 continued to have issues in round 2, with Chuck continuing to have issues which looked to be their gyro having them spin uncontrollably. This took a toll on the Alliance as they continued into the next round. They faced the 3rd seed, which had fallen from the upper bracket, captained by 6443, and they picked 955 and 6831. In this match, 2147 was able to live through the match, where Alliance 3 was having periodically dead bots. This sent the number 1 Alliance to round 4 and 5, where they were able to easily beat each alliance. In the end, it ended up being a rematch of Alliance 1 versus Alliance 8 in the finals, creating an interesting matchup, something that would never have been possible before without the double elimination setup. In the end, Alliance 1 took victory, crowning them the winners of the event. Congrats to 2910, 2147, and 1425 for their win, and 492, 8532, and 4513 for their impressive finals support as State Alliance. Also, congratulations to 492 again for their Engineering Inspiration Award, and 4131 for the Impact Award. Good luck to all these teams, and one interesting event to watch. Now back to you, Steve.
Thanks, Andre. Up next, we have John, who's breaking down the Los Angeles Regional. John, welcome back. How did things shake out at the LA Regional this weekend?
Over in El Segundo, LA, the Los Angeles Regional hosted one of the wildest events in the West. Out of the 44 competing teams, LAR had special guests 7611 Amal Hawks from Turkey and 8020 Cyberpunk from Taiwan. The competition high was 163 in qualification match 59. Throughout the entire event, we saw the average winning margin to be above 20, including playoffs where alliances yielded near the 80% engagement rate on the charging station. As qualification matches zip by on Friday and Saturday, we headed into Sunday excited for final qualies to be played, alliance selections to form, and a competitive playoff bracket to compile. That being said, 687 went undefeated with a record of 10-0, averaging nearly 100 points per match and obtaining a total of 32 ranking points. Heading into alliance selections, the Nerd Herd 667 chose Robodolphins from Outer Space 5199, the 4th seed for their first pick, and 702 Bagel Bites, the 27th seed, for their second. Later on, they would choose 6833 Phoenix Robotics for backup later in playoffs. Team 4123 Tribe Robotics was the 2nd seeded team at this comp, and they became captain of Alliance 2 and chose 294 Beach City Robotics, the 17th seed, for their first pick, and 1452 Omnicats, the 23rd seed, for the second pick. In finals, once the Blue Alliance took home the win, as right after autonomous period, Nerd Herd tipped over coming off the charging station and gave Blue a big advantage. That being said, finals 2 ended with a red victory, as 1452 tipped over during endgame, which forced the tiebreaker match 3. Closing in the final moments of match 3, the Blue Alliance was actually leading by one singular point. 5199 quickly went to score a cone, giving the Blue Alliance a lead, but with less than 20 seconds left, Red had already fully engaged, and Blue was scrambling to steady their robots. Without 1452 to engage with their alliance, Blue lost to the Red Alliance 147 to 138. Congrats to the Los Angeles Regional winners 702 Bagel Bites, 687 the Nerd Herd, 5199 Robot Dolphins from Outer Space, and 6833 Phoenix Robotics. Shout out to the finalists 294, 1452, and 4123 who played their hearts out in finals as well. Congrats to Team 4201, the Vitruvian Bots, for winning the Engineering Inspiration Award, and Team 5089, the RoboNerds, for getting the Impact Award. For those attending the San Diego Regional next week, I'll see you there. Back to you, Steve.
Thanks, John. And last but not least, we have Alex, who's breaking down our final 2 events of the week for the West region. First up, we have the San Francisco Regional, followed by the Arizona Regional. Hey, Alex, how things go at your events this weekend?
Thanks, Steve. Things went pretty good this weekend at San Francisco Regional and at Arizona East. This week in San Francisco, we saw 42 teams from across California and a team from Chinese Taipei. Shouts out to Team 8169, Aries. And all 42 teams gathered at St. Ignatius College in San Francisco, California for this year's San Fran Regional. Going into the event, there were a few standout teams competing at the event. Team 971 Spartan Robotics is known for being some of the best control codes in first. If there's a team that can pull off an unconventional design, it's them. Next is Team 604, Quicksilver, coming off an appearance on Einstein as the Alliance captain for the Carver division, beating one of the best teams in first for that spot, 1690, and going 2-3 on Einstein last year. And finally, Team 604, MSET Fitch, has had good performance at previous San Francisco regional events, has not been able to pull together an event win at San Fran in recent years. In the qualifiers, Team 5507, the Robotic Eagles, rose to the top of the table with a very unique catapult design to score cubes. Team 971, Spartan Robotics, followed up with the second seed with a very, very 971 robot. And in the third seed, Teams 5419, Berkelium, with a unique strategy I haven't seen yet. They have a launcher robot. They'll hoard cubes in their community, prevent their opponent from scoring, and then they can score as free as they would like without any defense. During alliance selection, the first seeded 5507 selected 114 Eagle Strike in a dual Eagle alliance. If anyone has a good alliance name suggestions for them, please put that in the chat. I couldn't think of much. In the second seed, Team 971 chose their number neighbor, 972 Iron Claw, and third seeded Team 5419 chose Team 604 Quicksilver as their first choice. For the fourth alliance, the captains were 1351 TKO, who chose 115 MVRT. The first round of the playoffs went mostly as you would expect, with the higher seeds winning their matches, but except for match 4, with the third alliance beating the sixth alliance. Oh, sorry, I think it was the sixth alliance being the third alliance. But in the second round, 1351's alliance beat the number 1 seeded alliance, sending them straight to round 4, where they also beat the number 2 seed, in part due to a dead defender on the opposing alliance, but also because they were able to outscore the blue alliance and guarantee endgame points. This then sent 971's alliance into the losers bracket, where they were able to beat 5419, 604, and 9125, sending them to the finals for a rematch. In the losers bracket, the number 2 seed played with 2 robots on their side due to an issue with their alliance partners, 8016, that was unresolved, and apparently when they were looking for a backup robot, the first backup robot that they had the only option of choosing was also dead. There's apparently some rules that I was reading into a little bit, and there's a Chief Delphi argument about it right now, where if you have a backup and a substitute, you may not swap subs, even if the robot doesn't work. It's a little strange, but this forced the number 2 seed to play without a third member of their alliance. Sorry, I got lost. In the finals, the number 2 seed played... It was a close game in the finals, but both matches, the number 2 seed was able to pull out the victory, and they were left undefended in match 2, leaving the best scorers of the event free to fill up their community as fast as they can. In the second match, Team 1351 unfortunately died, leaving their alliance without their primary scorer, and allowing the number 2 alliance to run out ahead and win the match. Congrats to the event winners, Team 971, 972, and to all the teams that competed. And if you want to see some seriously good autonomous, I definitely recommend checking out 971's auto routine. And now, on to Arizona East. At Arizona East, there were 37 teams that competed at Chaparral High School Auditorium. A few teams that I had my eye on going into the event were Team 498 Cobra Commanders, been doing fantastically in the last few years, in part because they seem to be drawing a lot of really good talent to their team as of recently. 498, shout out, had a Einstein appearance. I think they won it all last year. No, I know that they did. Team 2122, the Taters, just came from the Utah Regional in week 1, where they placed well but didn't get to the results they were looking for, but have historically had several champs appearances in the playoffs. And finally, I was watching Team 2478 Westwood Robotics, who have done quite well in the past, but seemed to struggle just a bit last year. In the quals matches, a team I'm unfamiliar with, Team 2659, the Robo Warriors from Mission Hills, California, absolutely swept the event, going 16-1, multiple wet matches, scoring around 130 points. They seem to have come out of the gate swinging with a great machine that could perform while the other teams was trying to get their machines dialed in. Team 498, the Cobra Commanders, took the second ranking spot with a really consistent robot that showed itself as a robot that could carry an alliance on multiple occasions, really earning them that ranking. And then the third seeded team was Team 4415, Epic Robotics with a Z, because they're cool like that. With ranking over, teams were free to select their alliances, and I unfortunately wasn't able to watch live, so I can't find a VOD. I could only see only report on what I could see on TBA. 2659 picked the number 4 seed, 6036, and the number 2 seed, 498, chose rank 6, 2122 as their partners. And Team 4415 chose rank 7, 2443 to make up the third seed alliance. Overall, a very strange alliance selection as no one from the top 3 seeds picked each other. In the playoffs in round 1, there was an upset in match 3 with the 7th Alliance beating the second due to a dead robot from 498. After that, the second seeded Alliance was able to fight their way back, winning all their matches and making their way into the finals, where they faced off against the first seeded team, Alliance, in team 2659, the Robo Warriors, 6036, Peninsula Robotics, and 668, the Apes of Wrath. The finals of the event were crazy. As far as I can tell, the Red Alliance won their first match due to a penalty from an appeal. Kind of happened off screen, so it was a little difficult to tell. Team 6036 really proved themselves as an amazing pick, really outmaneuvering and scoring their opponent throughout the finals. And going into the second final, the stakes were high. In Finals 2, the Red Alliance really showed what they were made of and frankly just scored a whole bunch of cubes. Team 6036 and 2659 both alternating scoring, making it near impossible to defend both robots. The first-ranked Alliance took the event with a Finals 2 score of 134 to 108. Congrats to all the teams that participated this weekend. And now back to you, Steve.
Thanks, Alex. And thank you for tuning in to FRC Recap for week 3 of the Charged Up season. If you're watching live, stay tuned for FRC Roundup, which is our open table discussion on Charged Up for this week and beyond. And this week's guest is Patrick, the drive coach from 2910 and the owner of Swerve Drive Specialties. Special thanks to all those who clicked that follow button or stepped up to help fund with a Twitch subscription or donation, especially T Steel 3739 there with all the bits. Your support really helps us continue to make great content. Don't forget, you can watch FRC Recap archived at youtube.com/firstupdatesnow. On behalf of producer Tyler Olds and all our fun correspondents, I'm Steve Londo. Thanks for watching and good luck to all teams competing in week 4 and beyond. We'll see you next week on FRC Recap.
This video on First Updates Now is made possible by viewers like you and also the following sponsors. If your team is using SolidWorks, make sure you log into the 3D Experience platform to gain access to tutorials, collaborate with other users, and download the Charge Up field and kit up parts. Go to solidworks.com/first and click on Log into 3D Experience platform to gain access. The Charged Up competition season is here. We have a ton of live Twitch and YouTube content coming to you. All of our uploads and archives, including shows, behind the bumpers, Finalysis, and more, are available at youtube.com/firstupdatesnow. Check out all of our live shows on Mondays and Tuesdays at twitch.tv/firstupdatesnow. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell to stay up to date on our new videos. Keep the conversation going and provide your input to our content. Watch our live shows at twitch.tv/firstupdatesnow. Join our Discord at discord.gg/firstupdatesnow and check out Fun FTC on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and First Updates Now on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter.